Hey, everybody. We are the Gratitude Girls.
Hello, Rara is in the house. Laurie, you're in the boat.
I'm in the boat.
That's better than being in the house. This is amazing. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning, this afternoon, this evening, whatever time it is in your time zone. We have an awesome show tonight. And in case you feel the movement of the water or you hear the waves crashing on the side of the boat, that's Laurie's noise. That's not my background noise. Just blame it on Laurie. Tell us what you're doing, Laurie, before we get into the show. Just where are you sitting? In the middle of what?
I am in the middle of the ocean. I'm not really sure exactly where we're at. Earlier today, we passed Cuba, they said, and we are docking at Montego Bay tomorrow, and then Cayman Islands the next day, and then we have another day at sea, and then we will be in Cozumel the next day. And then we've already had 2 days at sea, and we'll have 2 more days at sea. So I will be back next week.
When we talk about, that's amazing. When we talk about the Gratitude Girls traveling, this is exactly the vision that you had, and you're doing it. So we start with geography. To our viewers who are watching, we usually start with where we're at and what city and what town and what country we're in. So I'm in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, right here. And Laurie doesn't know where she is. So how do you like that? You're in the middle of the ocean somewhere, has no idea. We have a Gratitude Girls missing in action. No, you're not missing. You're just not sure where you are in action.
Right. Yes, I'm happily in the middle of the water somewhere.
That's wonderful. That's really great, Laurie. It's I should be there with you. Yes. Okay. So
Yes.
now that I know, that's what I get for not jumping on that boat with you. And I'm watching your pictures every day and thinking, this is awesome. Okay. So let's talk about the Gratitude Girls. Here we are tonight hosting another show and having another wonderful guest with us. Before we get into our guests, some of the people in our audience that are watching tonight, they have no idea what we're about, except that you're floating around in the middle of the ocean somewhere and that I'm sitting in Toronto, and they're going to think I'm the stable one in the group. And that's not the case. This is totally role reversal. Let's tell a little bit about what are we doing here? How did the Gratitude Girls come to fruition? Why are we doing this? Would you like to start with our story?
Sure. Yeah. So Catherine and I are both in a direct sales company together. We are cross-lined to each other, if any of you know what that means. But we joined a company called Send Out Cards that allows us to send cards of appreciation to everybody all around the world. And so we use it both in our personal as well as our business life to help keep in touch and build those relationships with all those around us. So every year they do at our international convention, they do a theme. And then there's one person that's awarded that theme for that year. And so back in 2013, the theme was gratitude. And so our CEO got up on stage, Cody Bateman, and he started telling all about all the cool attributes of this person who won. And he always tells like little tidbits and stories and little nice things about them. And then he calls them up on stage. And so Catherine was up on stage, and I was taking lots of pictures and video and stuff like that, because everybody that knows me knows I'm a picture fanatic. And then he said, for the first time ever in our history, and it's also been since then, there's never been that again, that he said, there's a tie and we have another person, and he called me up on stage. So Catherine and I actually met each other on stage in front of several thousand people. And it was just one of those kind of moments, like some people say they met their spouse. It was love at first sight or whatever. Well, that's how it was with us, kind of. It was like love at first sight. We knew that we were bound and destined to become great, amazing friends as well as business partners. And Gratitude Girls was born in like 2 to 3 minutes.
That was the quickest term that I ever had for a pregnancy, right? So I think that if it could be that quick, then we would have lots more of what we just did. give birth to something. And what we gave birth to and what we nurture is amazing. Of course, I remember that day. And I remember it because my knees barely held me up. I was so excited. It was excitement. It was a dream. It was the moment I had written about in my affirmations and my I am statements. And there I was, and having the opportunity to meet you. And I had known so much about you and known about your own personal gratitude and how you shared. You had actually received recognition for sending the most gifts in our entire company. Like what? And I kept imagining, what is that like? When I saw that you were coming up on stage, I was no longer excited for me. I was excited for you. And then back again to me for meeting you. And right then and there, it was no coincidence. Cody Bateman certainly knew that he was putting together a lifelong friendship, as this company does for so many people through so many different ways. I mean, a card can do that, but certainly we are here for the long haul. And I thank you so much for sharing that story about us. I relive it. Every time I relive it, I think about when I'm talking to a client or a friend or a family member, relive the happy moments because it keeps them alive. It keeps that moment. That was in May of 2013. We talk about this and it feels like yesterday. I don't have to search my memory for it. My memory bank is always right there. So I'm grateful to you for that, Laurie, for keeping this memory right where it should be and then creating new ones. So to our audience, do that. Try that as an exercise when something's really wonderful. Play it over in your head, tell it out loud, record yourself, and maybe come on our show and tell us about it. So Laurie, enough about us. We have awesomeness sitting right here with us. And we certainly need to open up the door so that we could learn a little bit more. Would you like to introduce our guest tonight?
Yes, absolutely. So our guest tonight is Miss Paula Wallace. And so Paula was actually born in a family being a missionary way out in Peru. And then she came back to the States and she started several businesses and nonprofits also, and just does amazing things for people all around the world. And I'm not going to steal her thunder. I'm going to let her tell you guys about that a little bit. But it's called Bloom in the Dark. And so it's just an amazing title alone, despite everything else on top of what she's going to tell us about. So I'm excited. Welcome, Paula.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here with y'all.
Yes, welcome, Paula. How are you?
I am having a wonderful evening. I got to go to the park with my 10-year-old son while my 16 and 18-year-old boys are at work. So that's really cool.
and where is that? What part of the world are you talking to us from this evening?
I am right now in Franklin, Tennessee, just south of Nashville.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, thank you. So we've got the United States, Canada, and the middle of the ocean covered.
Yes.
Yeah. So Paula, tell us a little bit about your day today.
Well, I am in the middle of writing a book. And so part of my day today was sitting out on my porch with my headset in, listening to wonderful music and being creative, writing a chapter about being creative, which was really cool.
Oh,
and
really?
Yeah, and then I got to go to a park and do a 5-mile walk with my co-host from my television show. She and I get to talk and walk and work through work-related and friendship-related stuff, and that was wonderful. And then I got to take my boys to work and have fun with my 10-year-old son. And overall, it was just a really peaceful, family creative kind of day.
Well, so you've got the whole chapter written?
No. After I get off this call and get my boys from work, I will be sitting down and finishing the chapter that I started this morning.
And tell me a little bit about fun with a 10-year-old. So for some of our guests or our audience who don't know what it's like to have fun with a 10-year-old, what does that mean?
Well, tonight it meant actually, after watching him play out in the parking lot for a while with his best friend, we live in an apartment complex. And so we got lots of friends around, they wanted to go somewhere and do something. So I took them both to Pinkerton Park, which is an amazing park here in Franklin, where there's 3 different sets of playground areas and a mile trail around it. And it was full of families and people throwing frisbees and flying kites and hanging out with little kids, and just a beautiful time. So getting to throw water bottles as if they were baseballs and follow them around from playground to playground, and just watching and talking and playing around with him and his friend was just a really fun activity for me.
Yes, it really brings the child out in all of us, right?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about your book. Is this your first book?
No, this will actually be my 4th that I've either written or co-written with somebody. And it's a different kind, though, because it's actually about interacting with your emotions while you're trying to be productive and have a schedule, which can be really crazy and overwhelming for all of us. But because of having been a childhood trauma victim and dealing with complex PTSD and a lot of other things, the emotional overload and tailspins have been a huge part of my life, basically my whole life. And so learning how to navigate that and be productive and run businesses and be a parent and all that despite overwhelming emotions has become kind of an art form.
Yes.
So writing a book for a publisher that thought that would be really helpful to other people as well.
And can you tell us the names and the titles of your other books, please?
Yeah, the first one was Bloom in the Dark, and I wrote that 4 years ago after moving to Franklin for a job and having it fall apart. And I sat here with 3 kids, didn't know anybody in the whole state, and did not have a job, and went, what am I doing here? And the thought that kept coming back to mind was how to help people who were hurting the way I hurt at my worst. And what I needed the most then was to know I wasn't alone and there was hope. When I was suicidal, when there didn't seem to be any hope at all, and when I thought no one would ever understand what I'd been through and nobody who'd been through what I had would ever get out of it okay. And so I was like, well, I would most appreciate just knowing that there were other people who'd survived it and been okay. So I started collecting stories from people who had survived all different types of abuse, addiction, damage in their families as children, as women, and telling those stories in a first person, gut wrenching kind of way, and telling them with the hope and the healing that each one had experienced, so that other people reading the book would receive what I needed so much, which was, you're not alone and there's hope.
Thank you. And can you tell us a little bit about the titles of the other books?
The second one is actually Bloom in the Dark, book 2. The first one is True Stories of Hope and Redemption. And the second one is actually True Stories of Unfair Grace, which has a forgiveness theme running through it. And that's at the publishers right now. And then Bloom Forward, which is a daily journal that's to help people work through the kind of reformatting your mind from all of the ugly, damaging trauma thoughts and learning how to actually build in things like gratitude, which is something you do every morning and every evening in the Bloom Forward journal, is actually write 2 things that you're grateful for so that you're keeping a focus on gratitude throughout your day.
That's amazing. That's awesome. So certainly you're practicing that, right? During the course of every day. And we're so aligned with you in that fashion,
Yes.
in that manner. I'm so happy that you're able to share that and add that to your daily practice and to reach so many others with that exercise. So speaking about gratitude, is there a story that you would like to share with us? Maybe someone you're grateful for? And I know it's not easy to choose. I do understand the question is share one story, but because of time, we'll share one story. Could you please share one with us tonight?
Well, the one that kept coming up to me today was actually meeting my co-host for the television show that we have. I went to a Christian Women in Media meeting on a January freezing cold, like ice and just rain and freezing miserable night. And I drove an hour, And I was like, I don't know why I'm doing this. This is just miserable. And it was an hour away. And I show up and see somebody that I have seen at my church for weekly for months and had never met, and found out that she was doing stories. Her name's Jenny Priz, and she was doing stories of women coming out of really difficult circumstances and then having a hope or redemptive outcome. And she was talking about it at this meeting. And I was like, we need to talk. I have a book. I'm working on this stuff. And here you are doing podcasts and video interviews with women telling a lot of the same kinds of stories. We need to really connect. And kind of like the two of y'all connected and did something together that is impacting all kinds of people everywhere. She and I started talking and then collaborating on a couple events and doing different things until a year and a half ago, we started the television show Bloom Today and co-host it. And that is now in over 530 million homes in 3 languages on 17 broadcast networks around the world, where are doing the same thing parallel next to each other turned into something that we could do together that just has had a huge impact. So I am super grateful for her and for the opportunity that I ran into by going to that one meeting in the freezing cold and finding out that she was on the same mission I was, just doing it a different way.
So happy that you did that. You took that ride. So happy you did that. That is amazing. Laurie, do you have a question for Paula?
Okay, yes. Of course, I always do have questions. So, Paula, tell us a little bit about kind of how it was you started. You started out as, a missionary kid, in another country, and then you come back here and you just become this amazing entrepreneur, right? And just do incredible work. And so tell us just a little bit of insight into that.
Well, the community I was born in South America, in Peru, we all worked. So I was kind of like child labor 101. We worked in the fields. We didn't eat or have anything that we didn't grow or raise or make ourselves. And so there was no electricity. It was very third world with none of the benefits. I remember when I was 7 and I saw a flushing toilet for the first time. It was a big deal. So in that environment, working hard and being a part of the team and being necessary for work was just normal. That was also the location I was when I started experiencing abuse. I was fostered out for 6 months due to my mother having medical issues and different things. And I was beaten till I quit crying. I had all kinds of ugly stuff happen. And then when I was 5 years old, a man down there raped me. And that just started a lifetime of all different kinds of abuse, because I thought I deserved it, and predators found me, and things just got ugly, and that turned into an abusive marriage and abusive situations at work and a variety of different ugly things. But what it also did is it made me fight. It made me fight to be a survivor. It made me fight to find solutions to things. It made me fight to live, because everything was trying to destroy me. And I think that I applied that fight to doing schoolwork and to being the most successful, the best student. It kept me safer because I got in less trouble if I did everything right and worked really hard, which was definitely a coping mechanism. But I also started realizing that I had value that way. So with school and then college in Canada, by the way, Catherine, that was funny because I went to college in British Columbia. But then working through, how do I apply those same principles to business and to learning and growing and doing my best, and also proving all those abusers and people who'd put me down and hurt me, proving them wrong, that I didn't deserve that and that I deserve better and more. And so the motivating factors were both negative and positive for the direction I chose. Now I just have to recover from being a workaholic.
thank you for sharing that with us. You do deserve the best, the very best of everything. And we're happy that you're on that path of receiving the best of everything. We're happy to be here with you on that journey, on this part of it, and the long haul of you experiencing wealth and gratitude and abundance and health and prosperity. We feel it, you know, you're here, and I know we feel this for you just because you're here. Like it's there. It's what I feel coming to us. So thank you, through the oceans, through Canada, from wherever, I'm from New York, so from the United States to Canada and around the world, around the universe. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Okay, take a deep breath and take that in and process it. Let me turn the show over to you for a minute or two or 5. Is there anything on your mind that you would like to ask Laurie and I?
Yeah, well, I know a little bit more about Laurie's story because of how we met, and she's a beautiful, amazing person that just blows me away with what she does and what she's been through to do what she does, and the grace and beauty that she does it with is amazing. But Catherine, I haven't had a chance to get to know you the same way. So I would love to know if you have some type of challenge that you've overcome that is a bloom in the dark type of story where things might not have been going your way and you made a decision or choice to fight through and bloom despite.
Oh, great question. Okay. So yes, we all have something that we fight through. So in case we're going to share the time, I'll keep it like in 1 minute. You want me to tell you this? So let me see if I can come through with that. Okay. Okay. When I was in high school, I was very isolated because I grew up with very strict Sicilian family, which means you really don't do anything. You're lucky if you can go to school and you come back home, and that's really about it. So the way that I coped with that type of control, I mean, I went home to a beautiful house, and there was food and there was all kinds of things around, but it was still a very constricting type of environment. So of course there were ways to rebel against that. I chose to put that into my image. So I joined a gym at 13. I didn't need to, but I was able to be driven and picked up from that gym. I decided that I would not wear the same article of clothing once throughout the year. So maybe what I meant by that is I would wear it, but not wear it the same way. So I didn't have 365 pair of pants, but I certainly kept things, a little bit fresh looking. With that, I won Best Dressed in my high school year. And what I did is I worked through the love and the control of being a Sicilian New Yorker, really not able to go anywhere, was by going into myself and finding what I was good at and coming up with, it was an image, and obviously I used my intelligence. I was a great student, maybe not the best in the school, but I was definitely the best that I could be, which was super. And then I put my energies into my physical appearance, because when I left the house and came home, that was what I had time to do. So everything matched. So I dealt with it on, I would say, a 50-50 level. I took the internal part and I healed it, and then I took the external part. So usually when I looked the best, it's when I felt the worst. Mm-hmm. When somebody goes, "Oh, you're having a bad day," with me, it would be, "You look amazing." And that was probably one of my worst days for whatever reason. I mean, I have had a loving family, but still, when you're a teenager and you're growing up and you want to have freedom and you want to be with your friends. But I knew how to solve that. I married my first boyfriend and I knew how to get out of the house. So at 21 years old, when I was allowed to leave, I got married to my very first boyfriend, because that's what you do. And obviously I worked through that, and I have a wonderful, fantastic, beautiful daughter who's 39 this year. So what I did is, to answer your question, I worked through what I thought was terrible in my early years by working on me and finding the bloom in me. And it resulted in an award for my high school.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I didn't want to take any time away from Laurie if you're going to ask her a question.
Well, Laurie, I was just excited to find out what's your most fun thing on your cruise.
Well, so far I've only had 2 days at sea. So we are actually going to Montego Bay tomorrow. And then the next day we are going to the Grand Cayman Islands. And then we have another day at sea. And then the next day we're going to Cozumel. So for right now, I've only had 2 days at sea. Well, 2.5 days, I guess. And so, but like today, all I did was I woke up, I went and had breakfast. I went up to the 15th deck and laid out for a couple hours, and then went in the jacuzzi and sat there for a couple hours, and then came back to my room and took a shower, and then went to dinner with, I'm on the ship with 10 other widows. And so went to dinner with the girls, and then came back to my room and got ready for the show. So
Sounds like an
just
amazing day.
wonderful to have this. Yeah, just having an amazing day and relaxing, and other than just a couple hours this week of doing things like this, that's part of my jobs, I'm unplugged.
So you're actually doing a little bit of self-care, which is
Yes.
huge, very, very important for blooming.
Right. Yes. Yes. And I'm like you, a lot of, workaholic, and that's how you get through things, is you just work your butt off, and then you don't have time to think about other stuff. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know taking this time also to force myself to unplug a little bit more, that helps a lot too. And it's quite enjoying.
That's awesome. Decompressing is just so important.
That was a great question to ask Laurie, because Laurie, your dedication to our show while you're in the middle of the ocean is astounding. That you would take this time, as you do, as we do. This is such an important part of our life, to be here with us. Now, I do not want to be the clock watcher, but I know that I have been given, and I have accepted the challenge of keeping us, and not really a challenge, but I know we could hang out, of keeping us on schedule tonight for a few reasons. One being, it's nice to be on schedule, just like that, because we should be. And what I do want to say is, Paula, it has been amazing to have you here on our show, and to hear that you have the exercise of gratitude, instilled in your day with your partner, and that your show looks for blooming moments, and that you're looking for the bloom story. And I certainly hope that you have the next story that you're looking for, and have the next 1 million stories that you're looking for. And if it has anything to do with gratitude, and align that with Laurie and I, I'm sure we can think of some referrals to come your way for your show. It's been amazing to have you here with us tonight. Thank you so much. And our audience, if they have any questions, if you have any questions for Paula, Laurie has everything posted. She's going to mention how they can get in touch with you. But do you have anything you'd like to say to our audience if they want to reach you quickly?
Yeah, you can just email me at paula@bloominthedark.com. And I would love to connect you to anything that would help if you're coming out of a place of brokenness, abuse, or addiction and wanting hope. We would love to help you with that.
That's awesome. And they can go to your website, and they can sign up with one of your contact forms and subscribe and things like that, right? bloominthedark.org.
.org. And also you can watch our TV show Bloom Today on Amazon Prime. Just look up Bloom Today if you have that membership, and there's season 1 there available, and you can watch it on demand. It's awesome.
That's fantastic. That's definitely going on our list. I already watched one show, so now I'm already a viewer. So I don't consider myself not in the bloom. I'm in the bloom, right?
There you go.
Okay, awesome. So Laurie, thank you so much, Paula. Laurie, for the guests that are watching tonight, if they want to do what Paula's doing right now, or they want to be on our show, they want to be like Paula, or they want to be on the show with us, what do they do?
Yes, absolutely. So go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/gratitudegirls, and send us a message there. Send us your story and what you in your life have gratitude about. And Catherine and I will review it, and we will get back with you with our schedule to see when our next opening is to have you as our special featured guest on our show. So we do this every single month on the fourth Tuesday night of every month. It's 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, 7:30 Mountain, and 6:30 Pacific.
Thank you, Laurie. It's amazing to be here with you. Thank you, Paula. And it's 10:01. So to our audience, I will say we are on schedule tonight.
Good night.
Thank you.
Night.